Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pinnacle's Producer Podcast. Today we're talking to Waves. He runs the Where's the Cook Up community / Discord server. It's one of the biggest producer communities, in my opinion, in the world right now, really. And maybe that's not necessarily in terms of size, but in terms of impact and everything that they do, not only for producers, but for artists, writers, everybody who comes in there that's a creative. It's absolutely incredible, and I'm plugging the community right now, but it really is wonderful, so definitely check that out. I'll have a link to that Discord server in the description. Waves is also a part of the Kingsway Sample Library. He has some incredible sample packs on there right now, so you should definitely go check those out. Last but not least, he's a gold producer. He's produced for Lil Mosey, Xanman. He also has unreleased stuff with Lil Uzi, Ram Riddles, and was really fun to talk to. We have some really good insight. I always say that, but it's true. We have some great insight in this conversation. As always, if you found it insightful, definitely share it. We're still trying to grow. Leave me a comment with any sort of constructive criticism you might have. I'm always open to trying new things out and changing things around that'll make it better for everybody. I'll just leave it at that and let the conversation do the rest of the talking.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Waves. I'm a producer from Toronto. I've produced for artists such as Lil Mosey, Xanman. I'm also part of Kingsway Collective, started Where's the Cook Up, part of Good Karma as well. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So I've already thanked you for joining me, but I'll do it again. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate that you're taking your time because I know you're a busy guy. So man, the way that I usually go about my questions is people probably already know this, but I kind of go all over the place.
Yeah.
Just about what comes to mind and where my mind goes after certain answers. So, but I'll start it off with this. Growing up, what did you, and I'm sure it differed in different ages, but what did you aspire to do or be when you were growing up?
Man, it's probably many things, to be honest. Like, at one point, I wanted to be an astronaut, and then I wanted to be an artist, not a musician artist. Like, I used to draw. So I always wanted to do that. Like, I used to draw a lot of cars and stuff. So I wanted to just be a person that designs cars, concepts and stuff like that. I was doing that for a bit. And then I just ended up falling into producing after trying many different things. Like, I tried Photoshop. I've done website design in middle school, and all these little crafts that I'd done kind of just led me to making beats. Yeah.
And one thing that I think of when you say that is, when you were in school, would you say mostly artistic, or was art just kind of one facet of what you were doing at that time?
Honestly, it was just kind of one facet. I was more academically, I wouldn't say gifted, but I was really smart. So I was really great at math. That's what I was my strength was. In terms of writing and English, I was really terrible at it. But when it came to math and art, that's where I really succeeded. So I was obviously, I have immigrant parents, of course, focus more on education and math. So my artistic side wasn't really something that I focused on heavily. But I was really good at it.
Understood.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
And then when did you first get into music? In general, it could have been lessons when you were younger or whatever, but when did you first get into music?
Man, honestly, with music, it was kind of just in my life in some weird way, always, when I was young, my dad bought me a harmonica, but I guess he just bought it as a toy for me. And I just used to mess around, try to play it. I was never good at it, but it was just there, And then middle school is when I kind of really got into music, because we had mandatory music class. So grade 6 and 7, you have to be part of you could either be part of band class or strings class. So I picked band class, and then I was playing trumpet for grade 6 and 7. And then I guess that's where I kind of first started to kind of find an interest in this, because I was good at playing trumpet. And then throughout from grade 8 to all the way through high school, I never really dabbled in music too much. And then I started finding like myself curious about like how people make beats. Cause when I would listen to music, that's like the part that would stand out to me the most, the beats, you know? So I would always be like, how do these people do this? And then one day, you know, my boy just gave me a CD with FL Studio, and that's where it began. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from getting FL Studio, how did that progress on to you actually making beats? And then eventually, you know, did you have it as a business, like making money off it right off the bat? Or was that just kind of something you were interested in first?
Yo, I haven't made money off music for like most of my career, to be honest. Like when I started, it was just kind of like just not even like it was a curiosity, not even a hobby. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of like, what is this stuff? And then just dabbling here and there, like trying to make a beat. And at the time when I started making beats, there was no YouTube tutorials or anything. So it's kind of just like clicking random stuff and just seeing how it works. And then like over the years, I kind of like developed more of a passion for it, to the point I was making beats in school. Like when I was in university, instead of like going to the library to study, I'll be in like the quiet section of the library making beats in my headphones. So yeah, like definitely like it didn't start off as a means of making any sort of money, bro. If anything, I was spending so much time not making money, making music, you know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one question I have to ask, there was I was on the Good Karma website, and there's a part there that says you were cooking up beats and samples in your 2009 Caliber. And I just saw that. It doesn't go into too much detail, so tell me a little bit about that.
Bro, honestly, like there was a time when like there was just no studios, you know? Like there's nowhere to work. Sometimes you can't go to your friend's house, you know what I mean? Like so it's like, where am I gonna cook up? Cooking up at home wasn't really like an option for me. So I was like, yo, I have a car. I have a power outlet in my car. Let me see if I can make it happen. So then I tried it one day and I was like, yo, this is kind of cool. Cause it's like, you know, you can go anywhere you want in the city. Just drive somewhere, you know, like if I'm feeling like I need some inspiration, I'll just go to like the lake or something, you know, pull up there in the parking lot, plug in my laptop. Most of the time I would just be like within my neighborhood. Like there's this place in my neighborhood where there's like free Wi-Fi, you know, and just pull up there, connect to the Wi-Fi, just make samples and beats all day, you know, for like 6-7 hours, you know, and then, yeah, definitely took a toll on my back, but it was worth it, to be honest. Like I have so many samples that I released, some of them on my Kingsways that I did in my car. Yeah.
And at what point did you realize that you were actually decent at this?
Man, honestly, like I would say like 6 years ago, like 5-6 years ago, like not even that time. I don't think I wouldn't say I was decent. I would say like I felt like I was okay. Like I wasn't good, but I was like, you know, I finally started like networking with like other producers, and then I would be able to have like a measuring point of how good I am just listening to their work, you know? And like I would say most of them were way better than me, but I had like cool things that they were interested in. And that's when I was like, okay, like, you know, there's something that I have, you know, it's not developed yet, but it's something, you know? And then like I feel like from there is when I started really like, okay, like honing in like on my other skills, trying to get better. And honestly, I would say like, I would think that I felt that I was good enough like maybe like 2 years ago, bro, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting you say that. I feel like a lot of really, you know, incredible producers, a lot of producers with accolades usually have that where they, I don't want to say undervalue their work, but they are very critical of their own work. And usually it's other people around them that are initially saying how good they are. And then it takes them a while or whenever it comes about. How did you get your first sample pack on Kingsway? Like, how did that come about? I'm sure a lot of people are very curious about that.
I would say I was very blessed, and I would not say it's not really lucky, but kind of lucky at the same time, where like it's like I met like the same, remember those producer friends I told you that I networked with? So like 2015, we were working at the studio called 669. It was founded by my boy Dot the engineer, and he just curated a place for us to kind of like hang out, work. You know, we all just like pitch in on the rent, and then kind of like met a bunch of producers. So I met like a bunch of guys, like my boy Illy, Mito, Nahum, Kier, Vinny, and then like a couple years down the road we met Brandon, and then that became like the core group of of our squad. And then we were working with this artist named Safe at the time, and
Safe,
and then he's really talented. We helped him on his like first EP, and then off of that, like there was we ended up getting like our own little like house, like all of us, like a studio house. Like we just like rented this spot on top of a store. And then it was like a 3-bedroom like apartment, and then we just turned it into like little studios, you know. And then like we made that place like it was crazy. Like it was like the spot for producers to pull up. Like if it's just like, yo, come through, come hang out, whatever. And then like during that time when we got that spot, like Ging, or formerly known as Frank Dukes, he was like I think trying to work with Safe or something. So like they had the studio session. And then Safe invited Illy and Kier. And then they pulled up, and then they got to meet him. They met Ging, you know? And then from there, it was kind of like, okay, they met each other. And then like, I don't know how much longer later, but Kier met him again at an Ableton like workshop. And then,
interesting.
And then from there, like whatever, they exchanged the contacts, I guess. And then one day he tweeted, me and Doc McKinney just opened up a studio. We're looking for interns. So Kira applied, and then he got the internship. And then that's how it like kind of opened up for all of us. Like he started interning, and then Mito started interning after. And then slowly, like one by one, like we all started getting in, you know? So it was like Kier, Mito, who else was like next? I think like Ill Knight, Brandon, Illy was in there. Illy wasn't even interning, like he was just in there, you know. And then and then me and Nahum. So that's how we all got in. And then like when I started interning, I remember Kira was just like, yo, try to make like a sample pack, like try to make a Kingsway. And at that time I've never made a sample in my life, like, you know. I started July 2019. That was like my internship start. And then I was like, all right, I try to make some samples and stuff. And then like a couple months down the road, like around like September or something, I remember one day he was, Genj was like, yo, send me some samples. Like, let me hear your work. Like I've never showed him anything like during my whole internship. Cause obviously I'm not there to like be like, yo, check out my music, check out my beats. I'm there to do a job. So I would just do what I had to do and then go home, you know? So one day he's like, yo, send me some stuff. And I did. And then I remember like, there was another day when I just like spent the whole night at the studio. And then it was just me there at like 7 a.m, just chilling in like the kitchen. And then he comes in and then he's like, yo, I listened to your samples. They're fire. I want you to do a Kingsway. That's how it happened for me. You know,
that's a dope story.
Yeah, thank you, bro. It was and that was like me doing samples for like 3 months. So I was like, for real? Like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, man, it's crazy, bro. I need you to do a Kingsway. I'm like, all right, bet, let's go.
No, I mean, that's amazing. And that really shows, I mean, the previous point that we kind of talked about, which is, you know, it takes a while for I feel like certain producers, many producers to recognize the value of their work or like how good they really are. And so the fact that you were 3 months in, you know, of course, a lot of producers wouldn't be thinking like they've got the best shit ever. Yeah. And the fact that Ging, is that how you pronounce his new name? Yeah, Ging. The fact that Ging came up to you out of all people and wanted you in there is really amazing. That's blessed for sure. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna just be like, yeah, man, that was like, I would definitely say like in terms of my career, that's like probably one of like the biggest or the biggest like moment, you know, like
Right.
the guy who's like on top of the game right now, like the biggest, like, you know what I mean? Like conquered hip hop, conquered pop. Like this guy thinks my stuff is cool. Like that felt very, very wonderful and empowering, you know?
Of course, man. There's not a lot of things, especially at that time, like that could top, you know, a compliment like that even.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So your placement with Mosey, how did you first hear about it? When did you first get news that you have a placement with him?
Bro, it was like 5 days before the album was coming out. Like I had no clue. Like I just woke up one day and then I got a text message from Josh, who's the manager of Kingsway. And I just seen a message from him saying, hey, congrats, you're on Lil Mosey's album. I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, it's coming out Friday. And it was like Monday, bro. It was Monday, it's coming out Friday. I'm like, bro, what do you mean, bro? He's like, yeah, man. So I was like, that's wild. I'm like, okay, what sample did they use? He's like, yo, I don't know yet. Let me check. He's like, let me check the email. And then he told me the sample. No, actually, no. He's like, I don't even think he knew the sample. I don't remember, honestly. All I remember was like, I was like, all right, let me just like scour through YouTube and see if there's like some random snippet somewhere, you know?
Right.
And then I was just like looking through YouTube and I found it. But even then, because all I know is like, he told me the song name is Rockstar. That's it. That's all he knew. So I was like, all right, I found this one snippet of like Lil Mosey and Royce David. And they were in like, it looked like a bedroom or something, right? Like, and they were cooking up, and then you hear the song, and I hear Rockstar in the song, you know. So I was like, oh, I think this is my song, but I'm listening to it, and I can't really hear my sample. I just hear drums and like vocals, you know. So I was like, I think this is my song. I send it to Josh. I'm like, yo, I think this is the one. And then, bro, I found out when this album dropped, bro. Yeah, I didn't even know what sample it was. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
And you mentioned a manager. Like this is something that I ask a lot of producers just because it's something that I was curious about for a while, and I know a lot of people have this question, but and even not even outside. I mean, there's artists I know, for example, that want a manager before they might even need one. People don't really know like how to go about that and what that even means. So for yourself, if you were to give advice to someone, or maybe you can just speak on your how you got a manager, what would you have to say about that?
Yo, I don't have a manager till this day. I don't have a manager, but like I think like having a manager is cool if there's something to manage. The same thing everybody else says, right? I think the most important thing is like first you have to understand how to manage yourself, right? It requires some sort of discipline. There has to be something that a person's interested in to manage you, right? Whether it's your work ethic, your talent, right? Even if you're talented and you have no work ethic, it's like, what's the point of managing you? It's kind of going to be like a headache, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, I don't think like a manager is necessary, especially in early beginnings of your career, even when you start getting stuff, you know, because I feel like it's like really important to also understand what's happening in like the whole process from like point A to like Z, right? If you have somebody taking care of that in the beginning, it's kind of like you like X out a whole learning process that you could have, you know what I'm saying? So like, I think having a manager later down the line when the work is too much where you can't handle it is good to have, but like at least in the beginning it's kind of great to like just to understand what's happening, what the process is, like okay, like you know who you have to reach out to, because it's like what if tomorrow like what if you have this like crazy manager right now who's plugged into everything, and then tomorrow he just says, yo, I don't want to work with you anymore, and then you're back to ground zero, you know what I'm saying? You have no connections, you have nothing. So it's like, it's important to build that for yourself as well. So it's like, you got to learn how to manage yourself. And then when the work is overwhelming, then get an actual person to deal with it. But until then, there's really no point.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And on top of, So actually, one thing I do want to ask you actually is, I remember at one point you did a really long stream on Where's the Cook Up Twitch channel, which I'll talk about Where's the Cook Up in a bit. But how long was that stream again? Like,
man,
I don't even remember the length. I just remember it being insanely long, and I didn't realize you were going that long.
It was like 10 hours.
10 hours, and you got a lot done during that time.
Yeah, I made 50 beats in one stream.
What was the
What'd you say?
Well, what was the process? Even the thought process behind, like, did you just kind of one day want to do it? Is that something you do a lot of, where you're cooking up for long periods of time, so you just thought, okay, I'll stream it? Like, what was the thought process behind such a long stream?
Honestly, okay, so like the reason why I did it was me and my boy Vinny, or he goes by Young Buddha now, we released this drum kit. And the drum kit was like, I was just trying to show like a use case of this drum kit, why it's so useful and how efficient you could work, right? So this drum kit was like, it has like the regular drum kits, one shot stuff, right? Then it also has like drum loops, and it also has like the stems of each drum loop and midis and some of the drum loops, right? So it's like, I just wanted to show people like, look how fast I can make a beat. And like, honestly, like I wasn't even thinking about it the whole day. I just got to the studio and I was like, you know what? Let me just do this random stream. I'm going to make 50 beats right now. So I just went live, and then literally like, I'll tell people on the server, like, yo, just drop some samples in the sample loop channel. I'm going to download anyone. I don't even care. Like, I'm not even going to listen to the sample. I'll just download it and make a beat. And literally I was averaging like 4 or 5 minutes a beat. Like, even though the stream took 10 hours, like half the time I was just chilling, just talking, whatever, right? And then get back into it. But I feel like in total, like actual cooking up time, I probably did like 5 hours, maybe 6 at most, of like actual making beats, and the rest was just kind of hanging out.
But still, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
And about that too, because there's many different trains of thought when it comes to quantity and quality, and how many beats or how many samples someone's cooking up at any given time. What's your take on quality and quantity? Like, are you someone who's pumping out a lot of beats and samples, or are you someone that believes in just purely taking time, or is there a balance? What do you think about that?
I think there's a balance. There should be a balance, because you're going to be in different scenarios throughout your career, and day by day basis is different things happening, right? There'll be times when you're just by yourself, where you can take your time and hang out and chill, whatever, like really focus on the work that you're doing and put like a lot of like love and, affection into the work that you're doing. And then there's other times where you'll be in a situation where it's like, okay, you're with like, I don't know, producers or other artists, and they'll be like, let's cook up from scratch, which I don't know why people do that. It's like, I have all this work that I put so much work and effort into, but you'd rather start from scratch. It's like, it feels like it's some sort of like test, like, let's see how good you really are, but it's like, whatever, so it's like in a situation like that, right? You can't be out here like saying, oh yeah, you know what, like I have to get the mix right. Oh, the note's wrong, I have to fix the note, because people get annoyed and tired and they lose interest. So it's like,
absolutely,
you have to find the balance. So it's like, I try to test myself and like train myself in both ways, right? I do, for example, doing this 50 beats. It's like, I'm trying to show people this is how you can be efficient when you're in a situation like that. You know what I mean? And then, so like I try to like, I just make sure like I'm ready for both situations. Like, let's say somebody asks me, Waves, okay, let's make a sample from scratch, right? Like, I already have a lot of things that are my go-to. Like, I save my mixer chains. I have like certain things that I like to do, certain even like progressions that I tend to lean towards when I'm in a situation like that, rather than if I was to just like be by myself cooking up, I could be way more creative, but there's no time to be like super creative. It's about being efficient. And maybe you could work on the stuff after, you know what I mean? Like, but in the moment, you have to be able to make an idea that's dope enough, right? Where they'd be down to like drum up or make to write to. So you have to find the balance. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a perfect I think that's a great answer. That really sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the segments that you do as part of Where's the Cook Up is that you do the worst beat of the week.
Yeah.
So out of all the beats that have been submitted, and maybe it's not even a part of that, the question really is just what's the worst beat you've ever heard?
Damn. Honestly, bro, it has to be a beat that was on one of those streams. Like Gemini definitely had one of the worst beats I ever heard. And like Twist too, because they were the two winners of the two ones that we did. And man, like it's crazy because like obviously you know that they're making the beat to be bad. Like it's not like a beat that they made that was just terrible, you know? So it's like it was like
facts.
It requires a specific level of skill and talent to make a beat that bad. Like it was crazy, right? But it was it's like a super fun series to do because obviously everybody does like the beat battles and the best beat, and everybody's there trying to show off like their most fire stuff. But it's like, yo, can you make something terrible? Like let's see you try that, you know? And it's just like something fun to do and just joke around, you know? Yeah.
No, man, 100%. When I saw the idea wherever it popped up first on my feed, I laughed so hard, but at the same time, I was thinking, man, that's so smart.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I think of something like that? You know, I was all this whole time I'm thinking about Twitch streams and I should have something where people submit and we go through it or whatever. Yeah. But you just had the perfect idea. That was it was so funny to me. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. And speaking of Gemini, okay, well, I just need to get this out of the way. Because he can't, defend himself here, the fact that he's slandering French Montana on your server, man, I just...
It's crazy, man.
It is crazy. I mean, I really have no words, but I told him, I'm like, man, I don't know if it was before your time, but like French is important. Like that man has some really good underrated music.
Bro, these guys people don't get it, man. I feel like it's probably because they were like 2-3 years old when like he was dropping like all the Coke Boy stuff, him and Max B and all that shit. So it's like, of course, they don't know that French Montana. They just see the French Montana of today who... Yeah. Unfortunately, people roast on the internet, but honestly, French Montana is a legend, bro. Like he's a staple, and like him and like especially his era with like Harry Fraud, bro, that shit was unmatched, bro. Like that shit was like a vibe. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, when you said it in the server too, I was like, thank you. Like I need some because I was out there fending for myself, bro. I'd have like 3 people against me, so. Yeah, I just want to get that out of the way.
Bro, these guys don't know, man. It is what it is. These young kids, bro. I feel old saying that, but yo, it's not even like it was that long ago, bro. These guys are just young as hell.
Yeah, and honestly, with music, like even a couple years makes a huge difference. Like especially at a certain point, like at a certain age, a couple years makes a huge difference in what you're listening to, who you're being exposed to. So,
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. One question I have is what's your favorite instrument?
The laptop. Honestly, though, like instrument, I guess I would say trumpet because that's the one I actually played. You know?
Right.
Yeah. But I don't have my instrument of choice is laptop, bro. Okay. Clicking in the melodies.
Hey, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take that answer. And what's one piece of equipment, or it could be anything, but it could be related to music, you can expand it, but what's one piece of equipment that your most important piece, or the one you really cherish the most, or the one you maybe couldn't, I don't want to say live without, but and aside from a laptop, because obviously,
of course, yeah. Bro, could it be a VST?
Yeah, absolutely.
Scalar.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't live. I don't know what I'll do without it. Like I'll be able to still make stuff without it. Like, but ever since I like discovered using that, like it just like my workflow just gotten significantly like faster, and even like my creativity, because like even though like I really didn't know much about music, like it helped me with music theory a lot, just being able to see the keys and like all these weird like different scales, like so it helped me learn like interesting stuff like Persian blah 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 scale, or you know what I mean, like Hungarian minor or some like random stuff that I've never even heard of, and I just like would click into it and then try to make like a chord progression. And sometimes I come up with like stuff that I definitely would have never made if I just clicked the melody in, you know?
Yeah.
So like I would say that is something that I can't
That's a great answer.
Get rid of. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I haven't looked at Scalar yet. I've heard of it, but I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And speaking of music theory, there's really kind of two questions I have in that. How much music theory did you have going into music? Like when you first started making, let's say, samples or beats?
0. Yeah. Like nothing.
And that came over time?
It came, I wouldn't even say I still know music theory. I kind of like, I have a lot of things that help me with music theory. I have this app on my phone called Tonally, right? Tonally. And it's just like basically the circle of fifths. And then like, it also has this thing where it shows me like, okay, if I'm in a C major, what is like the Lydian mode of that? Or like Dorian mode? What is the minor of it? And like, you could just like, you set like the wheel to like the key that you want. And then you just like scroll through the things. So now it helps me like, even though I don't know off the top of my head, I just refer to that. And then I could change like my FL like scale on my piano roll to those like things where now I'll still stay within the scale, but I'll be able to make like new interesting like things, you know, or it makes me approach the same idea from a new perspective. So yeah, so I guess like music theory, I guess I'm learning it as I'm going by using these tools, you know?
Yeah. And let's say you're in a situation where you're maybe thinking about like a business idea, a music idea, but you're lost. Like you really don't know what the next step is.
Yeah.
Do you have a person, or who would you go to when you need some advice or some insight or a second opinion? Who you going to?
Man, honestly, like it really depends. Like I have a group of like talented producer friends here that I see every day. So it's kind of just like, I'll just throw up the idea in the air and just hear what everybody has to say, you know? They all have like very different opinions, and it's good to hear their points of views and just like, you know what I mean? Just take like parts of whatever they all say and kind of like try to apply that and see how it relates to what I was thinking too, right? So, and all of these guys are like successful in their own like ways in music. So it's kind of like they all have like a certain, I guess, perspective and success in the way they did it, where I can apply, okay, like if I'm like, okay, I have this, let's say, for example, I have an idea where it's something related to the internet or YouTube, right? Then I would go to like, I'd ask them all, but then a person like Vinny would have like the most knowledge in that world because he produced No Flocking, and that was a YouTube type beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like he'd be able to give me the best insight of how to go about it. You know what I mean? And then if it's like some sort of like mobilizing people, I'd go to Cure because that's like his talent, where he's able to mobilize and like inspire people. I'd go to him and stuff like, and so forth, you know, with everybody else.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And tell me about your sample classes. Have they started yet? I know you're taking, or you were taking a few more, but have they started yet? How long have you been doing them, or are you still waiting to start them?
Well, I do a sample class every month. I started my first in November, my first class. Okay. So I would take 10 students a month. And right now it's January. So yeah, I'm about to start my next batch of 10. It's been going really well. It's cool. It's a great learning experience, even for myself, you know, like as much as I'm teaching them, they're teaching me a lot of things too, you know? And it's really, I don't know, it's really cool. I did a sample class once, a long time ago. like 2019. Like literally like 2 days ago, 2 days before my Lil Mosey placement came out, I did a class at my old university, at Ryerson University. I did a class
Right.
there, and it was just a one-off, like random class. Like it was with there's a producer named Blank who organized it, and she just asked me if I wanted to do like the sample part of the class, where it was like a 3-part class where it was like basically how to make a beat, you know? So it's like sound design, then what's it called, making a sample, and then making the beat. So like I just did that, and it was cool. Like, but I never really like thought to continue doing it. Like, there's a lot of people that showed up. Actually, one of like my students from that class, Evergreen, he ended up becoming a 3-time platinum producer. He produced for Lil Baby, Rod Wave, and all that. But like I've never like, it never like really clicked to me, because I was just like, yo, like I got so many other things. I worked a normal job that time, so I didn't really have time. And then I saw Eli doing it, and then I was like, man, like this is really cool, because it's like this guy created a community as well. Even though he's teaching all these students. Now all these students are like bonding with each other, and there's like a movement of all these people, and I was like, this is incredible. So then I remember like, yeah, I was like a couple months ago, I was like, yo, let me just try it out, and so far it's been going pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
And on the note of being in university and having a job, what do you say? And this is kind of a heavy question. It might not even.
Yeah.
But I'll ask anyways. So when you have, if someone comes to you and they say, I have all these things on my plate, you know, school, job, all these things, but I want to, you know, pursue my passion, whatever that might be. What advice would you have for that person?
Bro, I first asked them, how many hours a day do they spend on their passion? And then that's how I'd be able to understand what kind of answer to give them, right? If they're telling me like, oh, I'm tired and blah, 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 can I just work 1 day a week? I'll just be like, yo, don't quit your job, you know, because you're not serious, right? But like, if they're working all the time, just slowly like cultivating their talent, then I'll probably be like, yo, like, it's hard, because even for me, like, I never quit. I literally didn't quit my job till the pandemic. And I only quit my job because there was a package that they were offering to people that would leave that was just very attractive. And I was like, yo, like, I could use this money now to kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, fund me for a couple months. So it's like, I got lucky, but like quitting a job is hard if you don't have like a proper situation going with like music, right? You can't just quit and like just be like, yo, I don't even know how I'm gonna eat. Especially if you're trying to like build your name up. Like, people are not gonna respect you. People are not even gonna care to work with you. You could like make a YouTube channel and you're gonna get like barely any views unless you know how to use and know how to market yourself proper, right? But so like that type of question is hard to answer, because the only thing I could probably tell them is like, try to like put yourself in a position in this music stuff where you can like are making close to the same money, maybe, possibly, or something where you're able to at least like survive. And especially if you have like very minimal like minimal responsibilities, I guess, like where if you don't have to pay rent, or if you're living with your family, at least, you know, you could take a bigger risk. But if you're kind of like living and paying your own rent, then it's a lot harder, you know? So it's just kind of like, are you willing to take the risk and risk it all? That's literally what it is about, you know? Who's your networks? Can you like create a situation where if you quit, boom, you know, you already know, like, you have an avenue to make money somewhere else. It doesn't have to directly be music. It could be music adjacent, you know? Maybe like work at a studio, engineer. I mean, engineering is music. Sorry, it's not even music adjacent, but something, you know what I mean? How can you make, how can you still pay the bills until you're paying the bills with what you want to do?
Understood.
Even like Uber Eats or something, you know? Something.
Of course, yeah. If you could remove all the barriers and constraints from a certain project, what project would you do? So like, there's no barriers and constraints to this. What project would you do?
Okay, I don't understand the question. Just elaborate. Like,
So let me put it this way. If you, it doesn't have to be related to music. It
yeah.
can literally be anything.
Mhm.
But if you knew, like, we all have barriers and constraints to some. Say I want to, I don't know, get into like rockets or something. Like I want to make like the next SpaceX. Right?
Yeah.
But there's a ton of barriers and constraints.
For sure.
If you had no barriers and constraints, what project would you pursue, knowing that you are gonna achieve it?
Damn. Man, like probably something to do with like, I don't know, like helping people, some sort of like situation, something where I can like directly give back on a massive scale. You know,
Right.
something where I can help people get out of like their constraints and their restrictions. You know what I mean? So it's maybe like, I don't know, create like, go to like, I don't know, go back home and like create some sort of like, create a school or something in a place where there's no access to education, or like create like, I don't know, like a well in a place where there's no water or something like that, you know? Like just give back
Right.
like in a way where I could do it on mass, where it's like not only back home, but go to other countries, you know? And just slowly like, I don't know, create like, I guess like get rid of the gap of like poor and the middle class or poor and rich, like just like at least like the bottom, where it's like the most people, the people that are the most poor or most unlucky people, disadvantaged people in the world, like at least give them a chance. Because as much as like, you know, we're out here in, you know, North America, we still have a better chance than people
100%.
over there. So it's like, at least like give them an opportunity. Because, you know, I feel like the people that are in the most unfavorable conditions in life, a lot of these people are geniuses, and they find like cool, like interesting, like workarounds on how to like just live and survive. So imagine they were able to use that intellect and that geniusness in a way where now they don't have to think about, oh, how am I going to just get by tomorrow? Like, what if they were able to use that like brain for like bigger things, because now they don't have to worry about. So it's like, so like I would want to be in that world.
Yeah, makes sense, man. If you could have dinner with any two people, dead or alive, who would those two people be?
It's a very good question. Dead or alive, two people that I'd have dinner with. Interesting. Probably like, I have no clue. This is a very hard question. Like, it seems very easy, but it's like, who?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I'll try to find a way to answer it.
Yeah.
Bro, first I'll try to have dinner with Mansa Musa. He's like the richest human being in history, in terms of like, if you were to like calculate how much he was worth in today's dollars, he'd be the richest person in history. And he's a man from Africa, from Mali. He was a king, you know? So like,
wow.
I would definitely want like to have dinner with that guy. You know, how did you do it, you know? But
yeah.
Somebody else, like probably like, damn, I don't know who else, to be honest. I'm just gonna pick him.
Yeah, that's cool. That works. All right, so now we'll move on to Where's the Cook Up, because this is one of the biggest, you know, things, not only for you, but just in general right now in the producer community. Man, like, I'm just gonna let you describe it. What is Where's the Cook Up? Like, where did the idea start? And just tell me the journey of where it started and where it's at now.
For sure. Where's the Cook Up? Where's the Cook Up is a community of, I would say, creatives. It's heavily, like, obviously it's producer heavy right now, but it's a community for producers, songwriters, artists. If you're in some sort of visual art, You know, if you're any type of creative, that's where I want you to be. That's the place that's open for you to come. It's a place where people can network with each other, build relationships, especially like since the pandemic, everything was just kind of like switched to the internet, right? Like there was very minimal real life interactions. Everyone's just at home and people were bored, right? So I was like, let me just make this. Like it started off like, where's the cook up? Really just started as me just saying it to people. Yo, where's the cook up? You know, where's the cook up? Post it on my story, just say it to people. It wasn't really like anything. I never really had a plan for it, you know? And then it just became like, yeah, like the pandemic really made me like, okay, like, you know, let me see what I could do. I didn't know what to do. Even then, I didn't even know if it was gonna be where's the cook up. I would just randomly go on Instagram live and just make beats and samples, and the people would be like, "Yo, man, do you have a Discord?" And I was like, "What? What the hell is a Discord?" You know, I kind of knew about it because I was in Sample Gateway, his server.
Okay.
So I was in his server, and I was like, "Yo, this is kind of cool." Like, but I still I still didn't understand like this whole Discord culture thing, you know? And then people would be like, yo, make a Discord. And I was like, all right, I'll make a Discord. So that's when I just called it, where's the cook up? And then like, I do remember like one thing though, before I had any of these ideas, I used to always say to like my homies, I'm like, we need to have our own platform, like where we control it. Like, I'm tired of like having to reach out to other platforms where I'd be like, oh, well, like, can you post this for me? Oh, whatever. I'm working with this artist and we did this. Can you promote it? And then they'll be like, yeah, sure. Pay us $500. And then they post it on their story. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't even care. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, like, I feel like we need to have our own outlet where we can control everything. And then like the stronger this movement gets, the bigger like reach it reaches for everybody that's part of this movement. So I remember like when I first thought of that idea, I was like, oh, let me try Snapchat. And then I was like, yo, Snapchat is dead. Like, you know, that was like the downfall of Snapchat by that time. And then I was like, yo, Instagram, Instagram is like, it's too hard right now. Like it's not like, you can't really create, like it's hard to really create because there's so many other like niches, like where it's music producer, whatever. Like there's like so many other things where I was like, okay, like I can't really create something here. And like I didn't really know, because me personally, I'm not really like a posting Instagram type of person, right? Like I would rather create something where it's like something self-sustaining, where people talk to each other, right? I don't feel like Instagram was a platform for people to communicate unless they're communicating under a photo, which is, I didn't feel like, it's not like, you know, it's not efficient or conducive, I guess, right? So then after that, like Clubhouse came around. And then like, even though I had the Discord server already, I was like, all right, like, let me focus on Clubhouse. Because Clubhouse is like, obviously it was the new wave at the time. Everyone's like, yo, Clubhouse, what you got? I'm gonna invite you. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I got on Clubhouse, and then like my first day I applied for a club, or second day I applied for a club, called it Where's the Cook Up? The same name as the server, right? And then I remember I was like, yo, like, how am I going to get this thing popping? So I went in the server and I said to everybody in the server, I'm like, yo, who's trying to get on Clubhouse? I have invites, right? So like what I did was like, I made a lot of people were like, yo, I want to get on. And obviously there was more people trying to get in than the invites I had. I had like 10. So I was like, all right, we're going to do a thing where it's like each person gets the next person in, right? So I was the first one. I brought in one person. That person brought in the next person. And then we just kept doing that.
I got you.
So we got like hundreds of people in Clubhouse, you know? And then we're like, yo, where's the cook up? That's the place, yo. Let's all link up there. And then at that time, like, I was working like heavily closely with Dimlac, who's like one of like I guess like the original people helping me with Where's the Cook Up. So he was like there. And then Otto came. Otto like asked me, he's like, yo, man, like I really like what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing. I'd like to help. So I was like, yo, like if you want, like, let's run up these clubhouse rooms, like just make mad rooms all day, you know, some producer related stuff. So like, I'm not gonna lie, bro, Otto understood that assignment really well. He absolutely killed it. Like Otto, man, like I think because the clubhouse like group grew to like 8.5K like members, right? I'm pretty sure he's like solely responsible for like 6,000 people that pulled up, because like he was making like 10, 20 rooms a day. Like he was on there, and you know, he built his own brand up on there. A lot of people actually thought he created Where's the Cook Up, you know, because they would see Otto, like he was like the face of Where's the Cook Up, right? And I'm like forever grateful for him. Without him, I don't know if would have been able to like even build at the rate we were going, you know, because like the clubhouse room was like, it was cool because like, unlike Discord where it's like private, you have to be in a link, you have to join a link to get in. Clubhouse is just kind of like, you see it in the hallway and you're like, what is this? Let me check it out. So like, once that room started getting kind of lit, we'd have like big producers pull up. Cardo would be in there. We had Bink in there, you know, we had, who else? Like, bro, we had like pretty much every producer. Mike Dean came in twice, right? Or something. It was crazy. Like Mike Dean came in twice. The first time he never said nothing. He just stayed in the audience because like somebody was in the stage like, yo, Mike Dean is here. And we're like, yo, bro, just shut up, man. Just let this guy chill. Like if he wants to like, you know what I'm saying? Like if he wants to like see what's happening, like let him chill. If he wants to say something, he'll raise his hand, he'll come up, right? But don't be groupie mode, you know? So like, he never came up, and then he came another day, and then he came up and he's like, yo, what's up, everybody? He said something real quick, and then he left. And then like we had like other rooms where it was like more serious rooms, right? Most of our rooms were chill, play beats for each other, whatever. And then we had more serious rooms where we talk about like serious like topics within the music industry, right? And then I remember like there was this one room we made called like, would you ever sign to a producer and why, right?
Interesting.
And it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's like a topic that's like within like the producer community. A lot of people like talk about this, right?
For sure.
So like I created the room, and I just came on there where it was like, you know, I'm just trying to hear the benefits, the pros and the cons, you know, like why should you sign to a producer? What do you get out of doing that? And what could be the negative effects of signing to a producer? And then that room went crazy, man. It was like 300 people in there. Timbaland was in the chat, in there, like in the audience listening. You know, we had a lot of producers come tell their stories. You know, a lot of artists even came through, told their stories. A lot of them were great stories and like, you know, successful stories. And then fortunately, there was a couple other people that it wasn't so successful where they told us like, yo, this is what could possibly happen to you, you know? So
interesting.
There's a great, like, I feel like that was like one of like the things that kind of established Where's the Cook Up, like that conversation.
Right.
And then after that, like, unfortunately, Clubhouse started dying out. So I'm like, yo, we got to bring everybody to Discord. I try to get as many people. A lot of people don't understand Discord. So I got more of the younger crowd, you know? But it's still like, it's just getting bigger by the day still. And it's incredible.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you first of all for taking me through that, because that was a very like in-depth look, and I really appreciate it. Because I had I had a question about how'd you build the team for it, but I feel like you kind of almost answered that. Is there more? I mean, I know there's more people in it now, but how did you go about building the team for it as it progressed?
Bro, honestly, it was just kind of like whoever is down to be part of this. Like for me, there's no like I feel like if you're in the server, you're part of the team. You know, if you're part of like if you join Where's the Cook Up, you're already gang. But it's kind of like depends on like what level of I guess engagement with Where's the Cook Up you want to be, like how engaged do you want to be. And like I don't believe in like, yo, if you're Where's the Cook Up, you have to be with us type thing. It's kind of like I treat it like, yo, if you want to come here and develop a certain skill, whether it's you want to develop like some sort of like you want to do YouTube or whatever, and you want to do a Where's the Cook Up, go ahead. You could leave tomorrow if you want, right? So I just created an environment where it's like, you know, there's no expectations. Do whatever you feel like, you know? And And then I feel like a lot of people felt comfortable and felt safe in that type of environment, and people started like really stepping up and trying to be a part of like the bigger things that are happening within us. So yeah, I think that's how I was able to build it out. Kind of like, I don't expect anything from you, right? If you want, you can do this, right? If you want, you can come here, do it for like a little bit and leave tomorrow. So it's like, do whatever you feel like. And then people just really fucked with it, and they're here. They never left.
Yeah, and man, I don't know what it is about Discord. Like, I've been in multiple servers, not necessarily all producing, but just all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed is Discord servers have the capability of dying out really early, like, or really fast rather. Really, it can happen really quick. And you guys, I'm not saying I anticipated dying, but it was like, I've seen so many servers, like, they're really active at first, and then they kind of, you know, dwindle. But you guys, I mean, it's one of the best servers. It might be might honestly, and I really mean this, it might be the best server that I'm a part of.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, of course. Like, even if I wasn't in music, I think I'd really be able to see the benefits. Like, there's a benefit to everyone who's joined the server, in my opinion. Like, there's definitely, like, artist, producer, engineer, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the networking is still there. All that is still there. And the knowledge and everything, it's been amazing, even just being a part of it. So yeah,
thank you, bro.
I mean, you guys killed it. I'm very impressed, actually. It's cool to see.
Thank you, bro. Just wait till this year, man. You'll see what's got crazier plans. Hopefully it goes through, but I'm pretty sure it will. We're gonna have an incredible year. But like, honestly, I try to emulate like my real life experiences with like producers that I'm friends with, you know?
Okay.
Like, create a space where it's, you learn from each other, a place where you can provide opportunities, you know? Because my opportunities are also all these guys' opportunities, and vice versa, right? So I wanted to create that type of space there, because that's how you get a further reach, right? Like, when you operate as a unit, even though if you could like, I thought my laptop was dying for a second, sorry. Even if you like, like, even if you're individually like your own entity, right? But you're a part of this unit, you guys move a lot further, right? It's a crazy network. Like, one guy might be like, or one person will be like, yo, I need shit for this artist. And they just put it in a massive group chat, right? That person now is going to look useful to their situation because they're providing the work, right? Like, and then now you have an opportunity to get through on that. And then tomorrow, when you're in a situation where you're the plug, right? You can hit up all these people and be like, yo, I need this and this for that situation. And now, let's say you don't have the work, right? At least you could be useful in some sort of way, right? So like, that's the culture that I'm trying to show everybody in the server. Like, you could be useful in so many ways. You don't have to always be the person that's coming through with like the crazy beats, you know?
Right.
Or like a beat that you did all by yourself. It could be like, yo, I need loops for this. Where you're actually literally producing, like, you're curating like the work, like, okay, you're getting like the work, okay, I need this. All right, let's say even if people are sending in beats where you're like, all right, I like the drums on that beat. Yo, send me the whatever, the zip or whatever of this beat. But then you don't like the sample, or you could just take the sample out and put another one. You're literally, like, in my personal opinion, you're producing, you know? And you're providing a product that's better than what potentially you could bring by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes sense, man. And the fact that you said that you've emulated your personal experiences and put it or formed the Discord in that spirit, it makes total sense, because it definitely shows. Like, I think that you can attribute its success to that for sure.
Thank you.
And of course the amazing team you guys have. So
thanks, bro.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Tell me more about We Want Good Karma, because that's something that I definitely like. I know it's a group that you're a part of. I just don't know enough about it. And I'd like to know more.
Good Karma. So that's like me. There's a lot of people, man. At this point, the list is long, but It started off
Yeah.
as like all the guys that I met at 669. We were the first group, the first batch of Good Karma, right? So it was me,
Right.
Cure, Vinny, Illy, Mito, Nahum, Ill Knight, Brandon. So we were like, I guess the first batch. And then we kind of like, as things started going on, but like we never even had a name that time. We were just kind of like hanging out, just chilling, you know? And then like 2 years ago, I guess we were like, yo, like let's start a collective. And then we didn't know what to call it. It was like the beginning of the pandemic. I still will never forget. And we're just like sitting in
Mm-hmm.
like this park in Toronto called Trinity Bellwoods Park. And we're just sitting there and we're like, yo, we're trying to all come up with like names. Yo, what should we call it? And we're like, yo, like this is not gonna work. Like there's no way in hell we're just gonna sit here. One guy's gonna just come up with a, yo, we're gonna name ourselves this, and everyone would be like, yeah, it just has to be something that just happens. You know what I'm saying? And then like
Yeah.
we were just walking around one day, and then we entered like some pizza shop or something, and then there was like a tip jar called that said Good Karma, and then I forgot who, but somebody took a photo of it, and then that's just what we're like, yo, Good Karma, let's go, you know? That's what we're gonna be called,
Mm-hmm.
Good Karma. And so it's like now, bro, there's like 15, 16 members, bro. There's a lot of people, man.
Right.
Yeah, just,
Right. Yeah. I looked at the list. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And is it the same thing you've been describing? Is that you guys just provide each other the opportunities, you collaborate,
yeah,
um,
exactly.
you know, yeah,
Collaborate. We yeah, collab, give each other opportunities. Just kind of like it's like a just a giant family.
cool.
Yeah.
Bet. So how do you keep yourself consistent with everything you have on your plate?
I ask myself the same thing, bro. Honestly, like of course there's like ups and downs, you know? There's
Of course.
there's periods of time where like sometimes like I'll be able to balance everything at once, kind of like be like one day teach or one day make samples, whatever. But a lot of times it's just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
I focus heavily on like one aspect, you know, like okay, like I'll be like let's say like the last 2 months since I started off my classes, I was more focused on like
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. And then
Right.
I would then now that I got like the hang of it, now I'm able to incorporate like back to my old stuff, like working on samples and beats, and then also just kind of like working on where's the cook up stuff at the same time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky now, like with all the people that are helping and stuff, like it's easier to kind of like divide work now over there. So it's not as hard as it used to be, but like it's still like, you know, it's very
Mm-hmm.
tough, and it's like you just got to be disciplined, you know, because I don't chill, I don't hang out, I don't go out, I don't party, I don't do any of that stuff. So it's just like straight like wake up and just come to the studio every single day. So I guess it's not as hard, you know, but it is still tough because it's like kind of like feels like you're in like a hamster wheel sometimes, or you're just
Right.
going, you know, you're just making music, you're not really doing anything else. So it's of course it's like a draining, and I do have burnouts here and there, but
Mm.
it is what it is, you know? Got to do what you got to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
of course. So, and what does a morning in the life of Waves look like?
Morning, I don't have mornings, bro. I
Yeah.
wake up like afternoons. Like
Fair enough.
my morning is when I'm going home from the studio, like 7, 8
Right.
a.m. I'll be going home, and then I'll just sleep
Bet.
till like 1, 2 p.m. and then start my day there. So if you're
Eh,
talking about morning, then like when I wake up, then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just
Your
like,
afternoon.
wake up and then eat some food and then just go to the studio.
Mhm.
That's literally it.
Bet. Bet.
Mhm.
If you could go back and talk to your, let's say, 16-year-old self, high school, what would you say to him? Any advice?
16-year-old self, start making beats now. I started at 19, right? So I wish.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So if I could tell well, start making beats now, man. That's what you're gonna be doing in your life, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, and like just like I'll probably tell them like, yo, like, well, life is not gonna be as linear as you thought it would be. Like there's no like regular path. Like it's just like, when you're young, you just kind of think like, okay, like I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna go to get a degree or whatever, get a job, probably get married or something, have kids, right? It's like very linear line.
Right.
But it's really not like that. It's just like, you know, you could probably drop out of university like me, like I did, you know? And then it's kind of like you'll be confused for a bit, making music, working a normal job like that you don't really like for a while. And then kind of like, you know, go through ups and downs of just like doubt, you know, like, was this the right thing that I did? Am I too old to go back to school? Like, it's like all these questions that you're asking yourself, you know? It's like,
right.
I would have told my 16-year-old self, like, yo, this is normal. Like, this happens to everybody. Because at that time, I just thought, yo, you know, life is just a straight line of just absolute, just accomplishments and success. And then I'm just going to be living in a nice house. By the time I reach 30 years old or whatever, I'll be like multi-millionaire with a Lambo, with a wife and kids. It's like very like, you know, ridiculous dreams.
Yeah.
Like obviously it's possible, but it's not as like boom, like straight to it, you know, that you would expect. So that's what I'll teach myself.
Yeah. And you talked about dropping out of university. What led to your decision to do that?
Bro, there's multiple reasons. Honestly, like one was like, obviously I was literally spending my university tuition to sit in school and make beats, right? It didn't make any logical sense. Like I studied computer science, number one, right? And like, as I was like going through this program, I was in my third year. And then I realized I'm like, honestly, like, yes, having a degree in this field is helpful in a sense if I'm looking for a career in computer science, but computer science is like similar to like music in the sense of like, you don't really need a music degree to be a producer or an artist or anything, right? Computer science is like similar where you go in for these interviews and they give you a test. And then if you pass the test, then they offer you a job. Like, I don't think they care if you graduated from, you know, MIT or something, or like you just like learned it from the internet. It doesn't matter. All that matters is, yo, can you get the job done, right? So once that finally clicked to me, I was like, what am I, like, why am I wasting money here? Like, I know a lot about computer science already. I understand the logic of like how to think in this way. Like, there's a certain way to think when you're doing like these type of like coding, you know what I mean? Like, it's like very, like you have to break down a certain thing into like the most basic form of it. Like, okay, like let's say, for example, if I say, yo, I want to stand up, right? It's like you have to break down every function and program it. Like, okay, first I have to like, let's say, think it. So program that. Then I have to put my foot down and then put my other foot down and then use my muscles, whatever, right? And it's kind of crazy because like it's also applicable in music when you're producing. You have to break down like the thing into like the most basic function because it's all patterns, right? Like you look at like, okay, like you look at like, what would be a good example? Like no, not even like patterns, but like music is patterns, but that's a bad example. Like, let's say your effect chain, right? It's like, if I put this effect over or after this other effect, it'll be different than if you were to switch them around. Like if you put a delay and then you put like some sort of like distortion plugin, right? It'll sound different than if you were to put the distortion plugin first and then a delay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, before when I used to produce, like none of those things would even come to my mind. But once before I was like when I was just doing computer science, before I was like doing that, I never like thought in that way. But once I like understood like order of operation in computer science, how to code like and then I started looking at like music and I was like, yo, wait, it's the same thing. Just in an audio format. So it definitely was useful.
Yeah. Okay. And then you said your decision to drop out, you realized that you were spending tuition money basically to just make beats a good chunk of the time.
Correct.
Yeah. Bet.
Yeah.
me see where I'm going next.
Okay.
I've got a couple interesting ones I'm definitely excited to ask.
Let's go.
Okay, here's one quick one. I'm curious to see what you'll pick, but if you could recommend one piece of media to maybe gift to someone or just like recommend to someone, what would it be? So like it could be a book, a video, a song, a podcast episode, or a blog post. Like something, it could be anything. I'll leave that question to you.
Man. Honestly, like, I don't know, like probably like some random book that I used to love. I used to love reading The Outsiders, or even actually The Giver. That was a really crazy book. I don't know. I feel like that's like probably like some high school literature book that everybody reads, but it's a cool book about like some dystopia in the future where the world is like being controlled. Everybody's kind of like is given a job from birth. Like they have a career already set for them. It's kind of interesting, you know, where everybody sees, like, it's kind of crazy because it's kind of like how the Matrix is with the red pill and blue pill, right? But it's like everybody sees in black and white. And The Giver is all black and white, right? And then like you don't see color. And then one of the main character eventually starts seeing color, and that's like it relates to him like finally seeing things for what they really are. He actually sees what's actually happening, and then he gets curious and goes, yo, what's outside of this place that I live in? I've lived in this bubble, or we lived in this bubble forever. Let me get out of here, you know? So it's kind of like a cool like book. There's like a lot of these type of books, like Clockwork Orange I liked a lot.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know, like stuff like that. I just kind of like reading like weird, like, you know, fantasy or like dystopian future stuff. So that's what I would recommend to people.
Cool. Bet. All right. There's a topic I want to jump to.
Yeah.
But again, there's a few questions I want to do before we get to that.
Yes,
so top 5 sample makers.
Jeez.
For you. In your opinion.
Man.
And I know you're connected with a lot, so maybe you don't have to answer that. You know, I know this is a tougher question. Maybe you can add some names. It's up to you.
Damn. Honestly, like, I don't even know how to even, because I feel like, okay, like I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to list it, because like I want to list it off of like people that might have like created or influenced a new sound. You know what I'm saying?
Fair. That's very fair.
Rather than just like sheer talent, because if it's all sheer talent, bro, I can't even name it. I can't make the list because it's too many. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think like
that's right.
Off of people that like created a whole new sound or like shifted the sound of a lot of people, I would say like obviously Frank Dukes. You know, he's the like the father of everything.
Yeah.
So him.
Yeah.
I would say Q Beats, because they have like that other interesting like choppy like sound, that chopped up like the sample sound, right? And then like as to I would say I think Coupe de Truth, because of he created that whole like, I don't know, like I guess 90s R&B-ish sounding stuff. Like I feel like he was one of the first, if not the first, like doing that whole like soul, like soulish, like also like kind of like churchish. I don't know. It's like church soul, like R&B, like it's like a interesting mix, you know, all with like all like super filtered, like crazy sounding stuff, you know. So and then damn, I don't know. I would say
we can go just top 3.
Nah, I have to still like. I would say like I have to go more than that, to be honest, because there's so many other people. Because now I can, because now I'm like, okay, who else? I would say Cure. I think he's actually, but then like the thing is like, now here's the thing is like, I don't think any of these people would ever want to be referred to as sample maker, but producers that happen to make samples Yes.
Fair.
Right.
Fair.
Like Cure, all these guys, right? Cure, I would say him, like, he's probably one of the most underrated like ones ever, right?
Okay.
I would say like he influenced at least like a lot of us, like in the way his sound is, you know. And I would say even then, I would say my boy Illy, because he came through with like very like 2015. This guy was doing like, I would say, I wouldn't call it hyperpop because it wasn't hyperpop. It was very like EDM inspired like melodies, but not like using those sounds. Like he'd use like softer sounds, like more like plucky, like, you know, playful. Like his music was very playful and like it was insane. So he definitely, like, in my opinion, like, I don't know if I wouldn't say, I'm not gonna say like he influenced a majority of people, but I would say he has some sort of influence somewhere, because what he was doing, bro, I never heard anybody doing it until like 2 years ago.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
So those are my 5 people.
Bet. And then I was gonna ask the same thing with producers, top 5 producers. But if it's the same list, then we can just move from that.
Producers, I would say like, now it wouldn't be the same list. It would be also like out of the same category, like people who have shifted a sound. So I would say like, or like, okay, are you talking about like top 5, like, I guess, drum oriented producers? Would that be fair?
If you want.
Yeah. Okay.
If that's, yeah, we can do that.
I would say like Boy Wonder Girl.
Yeah.
Timbaland 3. Number 4 would be Pharrell. Or no, sorry, not Pharrell. Neptunes. And then number 5, let me see. I'll say DJ Mustard.
Fair.
Because these guys all...
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah.
Because all of, like, in my opinion, they all, like, created, like, almost like a genre, kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there's all, like, and then it's, like, a lot of producers are kind of, like, derivatives of that person, kind of.
Yeah. No, that's fair. All right. So this is a topic I kind of want to jump to.
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to with Web 3.0? Because I know you're very much into that whole space. You seem very excited about it. I know Cheems Coin is something you've been tweeting about. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Cheems, yeah.
But
I'm dead,
yeah. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Tell me, go just talk about it a little bit. Like, what are you most looking forward to? And even if you want to talk about Cheems Coin, you might as well go ahead, because I know nothing about Cheems Coin.
Man, it's just some coin that I found that I happened to just like jump into it when it was like super low market cap, like 20,000. And I put like $50. And then I was just like, let's see what happens. And then it just went like crazy up. Like I'm not even up like thousands. It went up to like $2,000 at like when it's all time high. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And that was like my first time kind of like really like trying to like mess with this crypto stuff. But like in terms of like Web 3.0 and stuff like that, I think it's like a really interesting world, because like I'm still learning about it myself. Like I don't really know much, to be honest, but like just off the things that I've seen, like, you know, the fact that like people, at least they're trying to like give ownership back to the creator, right? We've been interacting with like the internet when it was like Web 1.0, I guess, where it was kind of like everything's read only. Like you can't do anything, you just read stuff all day, right? And then like Web 2.0 was kind of like the era of like social medias and like, you know what I mean? Emails, where you can like directly interact with the internet. And then Web 3.0 is kind of like where now it's like you own what you're doing. Like it's kind of like before, where like you sign up for like these like, you know, these platforms, you're already like agreeing to terms and conditions that they own whatever you post on there, right? So like, I guess what Web 3.0 is trying to address is like taking that ownership back, where you can now monetize it, right? So like, it's really interesting. I don't know, like, obviously day by day, I'm just kind of like figuring out more, you know, how it applies in the music space. Cause I feel like the music industry is the most like oldest, like archaic form of like anything. Like everything is so like non-transparent. You don't know what's happening. You just get a paycheck. Yo, here you go. And then you got to get a lawyer and pay to audit. Like it's ridiculous, you know? So like definitely I see like the use case of like a blockchain where you can see everything that's happening and things like that. But like, how long is it going to take to actually come into effect? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah. So like, it's just, I guess it's just like a field that we just got to keep exploring, figuring out how it's useful. What are like methods like of like use cases or things that you can create to, I guess, solve these issues, right? Like a lot of people like make fun of NFTs, but they have like a lot of use cases rather than it just being some piece of art. You know, it's the whole thing that verifies something, right? So it's like how can you use, maybe implement like some sort of NFT technology into like your, like, let's say, like, I don't know, you release a sample pack or something, or you release like album and then like you own the NFT, proving that this is actually your work, you know? Or if somebody tomorrow, like let's say somebody was to take your work, right? And like sample you or some shit. And then like whatever gets placed and they're like, who the hell made this? Because a lot of people don't even write their co-producer on their beat. They just write their own name.
That's right.
And then they're now trying to figure out, where did I even get this, bro? I don't remember. So like now, how do you find out that you got this placement? You might just randomly hear it. Imagine one day you're just chilling and your boy's playing a song and it's your sample. Like, how would you feel? Like, it'd be the weirdest feeling. You know what I mean? I feel you. So it's like, what if there was a way to kind of like have this like, okay, like we know where to check for this file. Okay, this is the file. Okay, we check here on this blockchain or some shit. And then they go, all right, this guy, it points to this person. Who's this guy? They contact you and then they go like, yo, can you prove that you own this? And then you prove some sort of like NFT or some shit. I don't know. And then makes so much like business so much easier, and it makes things more traceable, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, that's just my take on it right now from what I've learned, I guess, so far in my short time learning about the space.
Fair. Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. I need to do a lot more research. Yeah. I think the main areas I'm most interested in that I understand a little more, or why it's going to be big or why it might be, is the metaverse or some form of like VR or AR. Yeah. Because I know, like that's but in terms of like, I mean, I love NFTs. I love the idea. You know, people obviously hate on it a lot. There's like a big controversy. Yeah. But you know, I find them very fascinating and I think they're great, but I still need to do more research and actually understand like what the blockchain even is or what it means. Like I understand it to a basic extent, but I can't explain it better than the next person who might understand a little bit about it. So, bro,
Metaverse, man, we're gonna make a studio in the Metaverse. Let's cook up there. Wouldn't that be crazy, bro? Like imagine like pulling up to the Metaverse for a studio session. That's just ridiculous, bro. I'm excited for that. That would be fire, actually. No, that it kind of reminds me of like there was an interview that 40 did. There was an interview that 40 did, and he talked about how Drake and him had these like remote studio sessions with each other, and they were like basically little to no latency. Crazy. Between them. Yeah, that was crazy. That really got me thinking about what you just said, which is the metaverse, having a studio session there. Because if you can implement the technology that he was using or the way that he was using it, and have like these low latency, you can basically be recording with an artist in the metaverse and there, you know what I mean? Man, bro, I wonder what type of internet connection that is, bro. That must be like some Starlink or something, bro. I don't know if there's any internet connection that you have that low latency. That's crazy. That's impressive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, yeah. And he even talked a little bit about how he was I don't know if he had made these yet or was making them, but these like little carts where they would have the same technology or equipment or something that would help many other people do what him and Drake were doing.
Fire.
Something like that. I don't know the exact details, but yeah, that does come to mind. So
fire. Yeah.
Okay, outside of music, what are your biggest, I mean, actually, no, I want to know your biggest goals related to music, but I also want to know, like, it doesn't need to be goals, it could be one, but I want to know your aspirations regarding music and then outside of music, just like in life, what you're looking forward to.
Well, within music, honestly, like, honestly, I don't think I have any crazy like aspirations in terms of like accolades or anything. Like it doesn't really matter what, I don't care to get a Grammy or platinum or whatever. It's just kind of like, I just want to create like something, like just create like stuff that I want to do, like music that I like, whatever happens with it happens, I'm not here like trying to create for, let's say, I don't know, if whatever's cool. I'm not trying to do that. So like, just kind of like just create what I want, see where it goes. At the same time, also like trying to create like just like a legacy of like, yo, all these other people that got a chance, people that could be in the middle of like Brazil, living in like somewhere remote, you know what I mean, or somebody living in somewhere across the planet that wouldn't be able to have the opportunity of just like pulling up to like, let's say LA, like we do, even though it's like right here, it's next couple hours down the road, on a flight. Some people can't do it. So like just being able to just create something like that, I'm satisfied with it. And then whatever else happens is kind of like, it's just it's a bonus. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And then what about life? Like just kind of an overarching life goal, or it could be one or more, whichever.
Like life, man, I guess I just want to be able to just live like where I feel I'm like, as long as I'm like financially, I guess free, I don't have to worry about like, feeding whoever or myself, and then being able to just like in the same like breath, like do the same thing that I was trying to do in music, but for people, just give people a chance, to just live like a normal person, being able to just not worry about meals or whatever, like stuff like that. Really, like that's like my passions.
Yeah. Bet. And I'll ask two more basically.
Yeah.
So the one I have is, what other passions do you have? Like, what don't we know about Waves? And what can you tell us? Man. Because I mean, I feel like there is a lot we don't know about Waves. You know what I'm saying? So like, you could go about passions, or you could just tell us like an interesting fact, anything really.
Man, honestly, a lot. Bro, there's a lot I don't know about myself. I guess I kind of figuring myself out by the day. It's kind of interesting fact. I don't know. I might have said this. I actually probably did say this on Bijan's podcast before. Like when I moved to Canada, I wasn't a citizen of any country in the world. I don't know. It sounds weird to say, right? But I was born in Italy, in Rome. But they don't give out citizenship just because you're born there. It's kind of just like if you're Italian, or if your parents are Italian or grandparents, or like if you're there for a significant amount of time, they'll finally give you it. So I was born in Rome, and then I just came to Canada. My parents moved here, and then it was just like my immigration papers just says nationality, nothing. It's kind of funny, you know? So like there's nowhere.
That's actually wild.
Yeah, it was just kind of like I just pulled up like, this guy's an alien type thing, you know? Jokes.
That's funny.
Yeah. Other than that, like, I don't know, like, what else? I used to love playing StarCraft. I don't know if people still play that game. Used to go crazy.
I don't know if they do.
right?
Yeah.
StarCraft was legendary, bro. Ling Rush, everybody.
Yeah.
But I used to play that. But like, I don't know. I don't know if I have any like other interesting, cool stuff about me. At least for now.
Nah, man. I'm sure you got a ton, but I those are good. Those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'll say, is there anything else you want to say that or talk about that we haven't touched or talked about?
Interesting. I don't know. Like,
could be anything.
I feel like there's something that we were talking about earlier, but I don't remember right now. My mind just like is all over the place a lot, you know? But
yeah, fair.
Yeah, man. Honestly, like maybe go back to like what I would have said to my 16-year-old self, because there's a lot of like producers that are young, especially like, you know, I feel like in music, like a lot of like the younger, you know, the younger people in the industry are like are idolized a lot, which they should be, the ones that are successful, right? But it's like people think that this is now the bar. Like if I'm not 19 making a #1 hit, I didn't make it. Or like if I'm not 20, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like when you really get in and you walk into these rooms, that you'll realize that like, bro, you could be in your mid-20s and you'll probably still be one of the younger people, especially as like a producer or more a behind the scenes person. Like I get it, artists, people for some reason like young artists, you know, but like in terms of like the behind the scenes stuff, like producers, songwriters, all these other people, there's really no age limit. You know, you could be 50, you could be 60, 70, you know what I'm saying? Like as long as the music is dope, and that's all that matters, you know. Doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter about anything else. So like I like people shouldn't feel like there's some sort of pressure to make it, because you have your whole lifetime to do this, you know. Oh, and it takes us back to like the job thing that we were talking about, right? It's kind of like you want to do this badly, but it's like you have a whole life to do it. There's no like expiry date to do this, right? So like don't ever feel like there's any pressure. As long as you're getting better every day, then that's all that matters.
Yeah. No, man, I agree. And that age thing is really important nowadays, because there are so many young producers and artists and people in the game that are seeing success, or that we see are seeing a lot of success, which is amazing, which is really great. It speaks to a lot of things, but I totally agree with the age thing. And even I was working with an artist. I was developing an artist. He was just getting into the like actual, you know, how to record songs, how to structure songs. He could sing, but there was still a lot to work on. And I remember there was someone that we were going to work with who I think he was, I don't know, somewhere in his 30s. And for me, you know, it doesn't mean it's just whatever. Like same thing. I want to make good music. That's what I care about. If he can help us do that, let's do it. But the artist I was working with was like, oh man, like isn't that too old or something like that? And I was like, no man, like it's not even in the realm of my thinking. Like I don't care.
For real, bro.
You know, so
it's like, yo, as long as you got the product, you could be 205 years old, bro. It doesn't matter. You know? It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. So there should never be any like pressure on yourself that I'm getting too old. There's no such thing, bro. Time is literally just a concept. You know, and everything is relative, right? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, man. Well, I'll let you plug yourself, bro. Like, where can people find you? You know, you can obviously mention the server, whatever you want to plug. Take the spotlight, say whatever you want to say, and for however long you want to say it.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, my socials are Instagram. You can find me at waves.flp. Twitter, wavesflp. There's no dot, just Waves FLP. And then if you want to come check out the server, it's discord.gg/WTCU. So discord.gg/Where's the Cookup. That's what WTCU is, just short form for Where's the Cookup. But yeah, you can follow us on IG, Where's the Cookup. And yeah, that's about it.
But man, well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you coming through for real.
For sure. Yeah, it's great. It's
I'm
an honor.
sure we'll talk. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll talk at some point in the future. I know you have a really exciting year ahead of you.
Let's go.
So
for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to chatting again.
Let's go, man. Appreciate you for having me here, man. It was great. I actually enjoyed this a lot.
Great.